Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark, and I'm microphoneless today. My microphone broke at the last minute, so I hope y'all can hear me. Before we get started with today's guest, it's kind of unique, and we're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people struggle with. I want to remind you guys to go over and subscribe to us over on YouTube, Superbrand Publishing. You can see all of these recordings over there if you're somebody who likes to visually see this instead of listening on podcast. And also, don't forget to go over and subscribe to Breakthrough Author Magazine. That's breakthroughauthormagazine.com. Get your free monthly subscription. You'll find tips, tricks, probably some things that you didn't know about in the publishing industry that could be affecting how you publish, or, price points, all sorts of things that people don't know about the publishing industry. So today's guest is Rina Lang, and Rina is an explorer of mental states to increase memory, focus, clarity, intellect, and intuition. She is the creator of the Mind and Brain Supercharge program, designed to specifically help leaders, business owners, and intellectual thinkers easily upgrade their minds and brains to cope with 21st century demands and challenges. Rina struggled for years with a bad case of brain fog, mental fatigue, procrastination, and short-term memory. But after much trial and error, she cracked the code to unleash her intellectual abilities. Today, Rina is passionate about educating others about consciousness states, the brain's energetic makeup, and how our innate, intuitive, creative, and intellectual superpowers can be accessed and upgraded. Rina's mission is simple but powerful: clear mind, healthy brain, and think energized. Welcome, Rina.
Thank you for having me here, Juliet. Such a pleasure.
Welcome. I'm kind of excited to talk about this today because I think so many entrepreneurs, they get really overwhelmed. I like to say, the first day of an entrepreneur's new job, they're super excited. And by month 4, they're overwhelmed, they're lacking sleep, they're exhausted, they realize how much they don't know. And things kind of start to go downhill from there. So let's first talk about, before we get into, the clarity of the mind, let's talk about food and stress and sleep, because I think those are things that people don't understand really affect our clarity.
Well, lots of things to talk about, where to start. So first off, it's all about actually having clarity in your mind to begin with. We have this monkey minds, right? Everything that is happening around it, we get entangled in everything that we look at, we hear, and such. And our mind is very, very thinly stretched. And it's very, very hard with a mind like that is fatigued, that is entangled in all kinds of stories, past, future, present, that is never actually calm and present on today, on the moment, on the now and here. It's very hard with a mind like that to actually start a business. And that's why we get so entangled, and our business becomes this chaotic thing, and we don't know what to do. We start here, we start there, we drop it and leave it, and then we get excited about this new shiny thing. And it's such a sporadic thing, but actually it's a reflection of the mind itself. Our minds are so disorganized. It's like having a room filled with like 100 different pieces of clothes, and none of it is on its rightful place. And then you're trying to kind of like make sense of it and find that needle in the haystack. It's very, very hard. And because our minds are like that, the contents of our minds are so chaotic, the way we approach our business, I often say it's like a buffet. There are all those different things you can do, which, yes, may or may not get your business closer to what you're trying to do. But not everything is relevant. And also you need to start eating at the right side of the table. And to see that clearly, that a business, there has to be some sort of a roadmap. You build that thing, then you build that other thing on top of it. And then this next thing is coming. Most of the time, many people, they cannot envision that roadmap, and they just see all these different things that they could do, but there is very little ability of actually structuring the path and putting the things in its rightful place, and knowing I need to first learn to walk before I can run. And what is that one thing that I need to do today that will eventually open me up to that next thing? You need to grow into those biggest shoes, but if you have a chaotic mind and more information is coming in, then it just actually exacerbates the situation, because it's not more information that you need. You need to make use of the information you already have. And to do that, cleaning up your mind is the very first step.
Interesting. And you're right about, especially entrepreneurs now who are online, you know, they see all these shiny objects and they think each and every one is the magic bullet, without thinking about, you know, how do I integrate all of this together? And if you're overwhelmed, that's not going to happen. And you see evidence of that, you know, with these programs, you know, 6 figures in 6 months, or, you know, I can have you to 6 figures in 90 days. And you're looking at the outcome without thinking about the organization that goes into it.
And even those people who promise you 6 figures in 90 days, it took them 20 years to get there, where they can actually generate that money. And they think that if they can do it now, then everybody else can do it. But they have not built themselves up energetically. They have not built up their tribe. They have not built up the experience, know-how, confidence to actually show up and be able to convert. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. That's why I say you need to grow into those bigger shoes. You cannot be thinking, okay, I'm going to buy something from Tony Robbins, and just by doing whatever he's doing, I'm going to be like him. You need to find somebody that's closer to your level of development. Maybe 5 steps ahead, as we often say in coaching, you know, just be 3 steps ahead of that person, 5 steps ahead of the person. It's enough to actually get coached. You don't need to have somebody so bigger than you are right now. Maybe in 10 years, you will grow into those bigger shoes and you build up all your foundations that you can actually hire somebody with so much expertise. But depending on where you are, and that's where a lot of money is being wasted and a lot of debt is being generated by going for those big shots, thinking, well, they're big shot, they must know. But they're actually 20 years ahead of you. Find somebody who's 1 year ahead of you, 2 years ahead of you, and to have that clarity. And again, shiny objects, why? It's actually marketing. Marketing is designed to generate that fear of missing out in us. It's all about playing with our emotions and such, fear of missing out. That's the thing that get us hyped up emotionally. And that's, again, cleaning up your mind will be able to actually allow you to clean up yourself emotionally enough so that you can actually see the situation for what it is. You can see beyond that shiny object and see there is a lot of air, a lot of promises, very good promo sales speech, but you are not emotionally so and caught up in it that there is no more regrets, you know, a week or 2 down the road because you bought or bet on the wrong horse. Being able to see through all that glamour, because it's glamour and nothing else but glamour. Being able to look through that glamour, you need to have a sharp, clear mind that is able to cut through that clutter and see the person for who he is. See that sales pitch for what it is. It's a lot of air, and often there is not much behind it.
That is so true, especially when you're in those rooms where, you know, today only, go to the back of the room. I think those are the people with a lot of hype. And every time I've ever done that and purchased something, I've been so disappointed, because there are a lot of people out there who call themselves influencers who they're big marketers, but not great deliverers on that. So true.
It's emotional blackmail more than anything. And that's how the world is being run. And the reason being is because very few people on this planet actually truly think, who have truly groundbreaking new ideas. Most of us, we're just parroting somebody else, or most people on this planet, we are more than happy to outsource the thinking to somebody we think can think better than us. Parents, priests, politicians, that's why the world is the way it is. But I guarantee you, if you outsource the thinking to somebody else, they'll make choices, decisions that are not in your favor. And that is why transitioning before, polarizing ourselves more and more in our minds, rather than emotions, drama, and then a little bit of gossip maybe on top of it, a little bit of fun facts gathered from somewhere else, from some books, like learned knowledge. Somebody else has done the thinking, we just acquired it and this is ours, but actually there's really no unique groundbreaking thought. And that's the thing, you know, by organizing your mind, by clearing yourself be it energetically, because mind is nothing but an energy that we use. We are that consciousness that uses that mind, and brain is nothing than a tool that reads that energy, whatever is in our contained in our energy field. The brain is busy serving us the best it can. You mentioned being fatigued and tired. The brain is the most stressed organ of our body, because we think intelligence is acquiring more and more information, pulling it all in. And a lot of us, we bought into the slide. That's how I fried my brain so many times, because I was pushing it, studying midnight, sleeping little, thinking that the more I know, it will somehow make me smarter. But actually, wherever you are, at whatever stage you are in your life, it's not about acquiring knowledge. It's about actually cleaning up whatever useless knowledge you acquire that is not serving you. It's programs, it's social media, it's politicians, it's television and such. Everybody has some sort of a vested interest in how we think, how we behave. Again, it's not in our favor. So learning to think is, and that's we're entering that mind and brain hacking age. If you're still polarized in your emotions, if you're still making your decisions in anger, in desperation, in fear and such, when somebody, manipulated you emotionally somehow, you make decisions about your life and your money, then you are actually losing out, because the game is changing. And that's what a lot of people who are at the forefront of thinking, innovators and such, that's what they are investing the most in. Read a book called Stealing Fire. You will learn more about how in Silicon Valley, military and such, where they're trying to hack the brain, hack the intelligence, polarize themselves more and more in the mind, put themselves in certain states where they can learn languages in 6 weeks instead of 6 months. You will be missing out if you don't do it, because guaranteed the game has changed, and it's not about the learned knowledge. It's about accessing levels of creativity that are beyond our thinking, accessing intuition, pure knowing that are beyond our ability to think and rationalize it and such. And I love reading biographies of smart people, scientists and such. If you read the biographies, it's all about, I woke up and I had that idea. I had my shower and I had that idea. They are coming from somewhere. And it's not a secret anymore. And that's something that everybody can access now and today. But of course, there are certain things that you need to do, such as clean yourself up, because all that information is available, but it's like being in a room where 100 people are shouting at you at once, which is your thoughts, your monkey mind. There is no chance for that intuition, that groundbreaking idea that's going to take your business to the next breakthrough. That idea cannot come to you if there are millions and millions of thoughts buzzing around. What are the chances of you perceiving that idea correctly, implementing that idea correctly, seeing, feeling it for what it is? It's nil. So one thing you might be realizing, that you might be putting so much effort, so much time into your business with very little results. And it's about picking up the ball, dropping the ball, next ball, this, that, sporadic, starting, stopping, not seeing a clear roadmap, not having a clear vision. It's very hard to have a business that is really going to be a success. And time again, you hear from people who are extremely successful. It's not about how hard you work. It's not.
I'm a perfect example of that with my golf addiction. I have to make time for it. Okay, so how do you clean up a chaotic mind? What does that look like? Where do you begin?
Well, very good question. There are 2 techniques that I often recommend, and there are more techniques that I share in my coaching and in my programs, but here it goes. First off, we are like sponges. And I think everybody these days is familiar with, this person gives me a bad vibe, that person energizes me, I love being around that person. This place is kind of like draining. When I get home from my stressful environment at work, I feel like I need a shower to kind of like wash off that energy. I think most people are familiar with those concepts, but still we are holding on to that energy. It's free, let's take it, right? But a lot of the energy that is actually floating in our energy tank is not even ours. So what you can do whenever you're feeling like overwhelmed with your emotions, anxieties, fears and such, whenever you feel like you're overwhelmed, it's more than what you can handle, chances are a lot of it, it's not yours. Like for instance, now, Juliet, if you were to check in with yourself, what is the predominant negative feeling that you're feeling right now? You can close your eyes and then give it some sort of a percentage. How much of that energy is not yours? Give it a percentage. How much?
Oh,
No,
you're
right.
actually asking me to do that? Oh, I know. I hardly ever think negatively.
Just in case something that's bugging you. Finding more time for your goals.
Yeah, I don't have trouble finding more clients. Let's see, something that's bugging me. No world peace. How much of that's mine?
Excellent. Just tune into it. Just get a feel for that energy. Okay, world peace. How much of that energy is not yours? Give it a percentage.
Negative, probably 60%.
Excellent. Close your eyes and generate a feeling of free fall in your body. Completely relax yourself. Relax. It's like when we were children, we're jumping around, we know we're going to get caught. Generate that feeling of free fall. And then just let those 60% go. Just see it float out as a gray energy from the energy field out the window, expand. Thank it for being there. Thank it for whatever service it was trying to serve you. But just generate that feeling of free fall and let it go. And this energy has no choice because you made a new decision. You don't need it anymore. It has no choice but to leave your energy field. This is an excellent technique to do every day before sleep. Every time you had a difficult client or whatever, you were interacting with someone and they left you feeling like uneasy, there's just some kind of like energy that's bugging you, it's not yours. Just do this. Do never ever go to bed at the end of the day with some energy that's not yours stuck in your energy field. This is one way of just begin at least by getting rid of whatever is not yours. Second technique, this is something that I learned from a book called The Creative Way, and it's journaling, just simple journaling. And I've journaled on and off all my life, but in the last 2 years, I started actually following this technique of morning pages, where you basically write 3 pages every day. Sometimes I write 5, sometimes half a page. I'm not very particular about it, but I would, throughout the day, take note of whatever emotions come up, frustrations, discomforts. Somebody said something that it didn't sit well with me. Just kind of like noticing throughout the day what's happening in my world that is not perfect, that is kind of like not happiness and peace. And then it's all about giving them a place and space for that energy to give them a voice, to tell you its story. Why am I angry that somebody cut me on the road? Is it because somebody cut me on the road, or is there something else? And it's basically kind of like tuning into that energy and writing from that space. The first 6 months, it was just me ranting all about the sky is too blue, the sun is too round, just all kinds of stuff. But it's basically picking up the pile of clothes that we have, looking at each and every one of them and deciding, do I keep it and put it on a shelf, or do I actually throw it out? It's no longer serving me. And you are the most interesting book that you ever will read. All of us, we have those skeletons. I mean, 8 years ago, I was keeping myself so busy all the time. I couldn't be alone even for 5 minutes with myself. It was too painful. Too many skeletons. But actually, it's bigger than it really, it's smaller than we think. It's just wants to tell us its story. It's not our enemy. Emotions are not our enemies. They just tell us something happened in our world that went against who we are, against what's right in our beliefs, and it's that uneasy energy because somebody somehow did something that was not right in our world. And that's all that emotion is trying to tell you. Look, this is not okay. And by writing it out, you actually unravel that energy and you get to the bottom of it, which means once you listen to its story, you gave it that place and space to tell you how it came about, it will never come bugging you again. And one of the side effects that I've noticed, like 2 years down the road, is that it actually organizes your mind. Mm-hmm. When you are struggling, if you're struggling with bad memory, I was watching this documentary about people who have incredible memories. Yes, there is a portion of the brain that is more enlarged, but also on top of that, they're extremely organized people. Many people think, well, I'm going to organize my desk and somehow my mind is going to be more organized. It's the other way around. By writing out, by listening to, tuning in, writing out, giving it that space and place, you actually looking through all the contents of your energy body, and you keep what you need and you let go of what you don't need. Everything ends up on its rightful shelves, places, which means when you actually are trying to remember that information that you need, your brain is able to make those connections to find what it needs. It's no longer chaos, and you start seeing things. It's not about becoming OCD and like cleaning up your place like crazy. No, it's not about that. It's just organizing your mind to such an extent that there is no unresolved issue bugging you, zapping away all your energy. It's about freeing up, on the contrary, that energy that can serve you now to be channeled into your business, into new ideas, into manifesting, into perceiving that guidance, that intuition, those new ideas and such. So this technique I found most incredible to really, really, really start claiming back your energies, cleaning up the contents, organizing your mind, improving your memory.
Very good. So tell us a little bit about your program. What sorts of things do you do inside of your programs?
Excellent question. So when I started out my journey of, I struggled 7 years ago with a bad case of mental fog and all the other things that you've read out in the beginning of this podcast. And one of my superpowers, let's say, ever since I started meditating 7 years ago, I started feeling energies. So the way I approach the mind and brain health is actually from the energetic side. It's not so much eat that food, do those exercises, because I've tried it all. When I was at my worst, I've tried it all. I didn't have the will, I didn't have the time, I didn't have the bandwidth, I didn't have the persistence to actually stick around with all those things. And I didn't feel like they really moved the needle for me strongly enough to really be where I am, for instance, now. I'm smarter than I ever was, I would say. And because I went that energetic route, I could feel that there is, my head was stuck in a fishbowl pretty much for 2 years. And that I had to resolve things somehow energetically. So I started educating myself more and more about the different energies and chakras and all kinds of different techniques. I went to India and Nepal, learned from Buddhists and such, what they know about the mind, and started applying all those different things in my personal life. And I started seeing very quickly incredible results. And so anybody and everybody who actually cares about their mind health and would like to take their mind to the next level, who don't subscribe to the belief that, when we're children, our intelligence increases, then it plateaus, and then sometimes 40, 50 starts breaking down, and that's just the way things are, and Post-its are my best friend. If you don't subscribe to that belief, if you really want to remain relevant beyond 60, 70, and 80, just when you're the most wise, most experienced, then I highly suggest that you start looking at your mind from that energetic perspective. And that's what I do. I teach all kinds of tools, techniques, educate people about the mind, brain, how they work together, intelligence, intellect, intuition, what are all those different things, how can they take, use those mind and brain hacks to really unleash and unlock greater intellectual abilities than they ever thought before were possible.
Oh, that's great. So you have a free gift to give us today, and you also have a group. I just spoke to them over on Facebook. How do we find that group, and what is your free gift you'd like to give us today?
So definitely. So one of the free gifts, I actually just published my ebook on this topic, is how to use energetic hacks to unleash your mind and brain. You can get it under rinalang.com/book. And I do also have a community on Facebook that's called Mind and Brain Power Supercharge. Join that group. It's a private group where I go live on every Friday. And I have a YouTube channel as well. All the links you'll find when you go to rinalang.com/book. And you can follow me on YouTube. I've done plenty of trainings by now, masterclasses and such, where I share more techniques, more tools, and talk about anything that has to do with mind, brain, memory, brain fog, overwhelm, whatever issues you might be experiencing with your mind. And if you start applying some of the techniques that I use there, I'm sure you will see great results.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us today.
You're welcome.